Hello again, this is the Watering Man. Now, this is another spiritual toolbox short, and I'm going to do this before we get back into John chapter 4, verse 29, okay? Now, this is, I'm titling this one, this is the in-depth examination that documazo, not that you may prove it, that you prove it, okay? This is God's way of proving it. It's an example of how immense, how much greater God's way of examining our minds. How much better He knows us than we know ourselves. This is an in-depth examination of the Almighty God of our minds. Right? Now, remember, God doesn't just basing it on this outward stuff, this outer court and holy place stuff, that's that exterior stuff, right? God's working inside our mind, in the deep, and then all the way down to this singular thought process, then expanding it out to it's a sphere, a ball, the size of, let's say, it's about like being from here, from the Earth to Alpha Centauri, about 4.3 light years, okay? The diameter, okay? One grain of sand, that would be like a little, like the seed of Christ that He placed inside there in each thought process, right in the center. It's like the pixel or that seed of light. God is light, God is love. It's just love, it's light. It's the illumination of God. It's placed in the middle of all these, like little, all the rest of it, little parts of that little spheres, little grains of sand. And that sphere is like grains of dark, yuck, ignorance of His love. Saying this ignorance of God's light. There's one little grain of sand in there that's God's light. And then all the rest of that, our own carnality, our own beast nature, our own poopy thinking, our own righteousness, the good, bad, and ugly, it's all ugly. It's blacker than the ace of spades. It's black as black as black. Black as you can get. Dark, ignorant, dumber than a rock. Okay? It's shit stinking. Seen, hearing, taste, touch, and smell with our own ego anyway. Now God's going to overcome this to whatever degree for each person. So you got to green light it, okay? Green light God. To let that little thing go like a spark plug and cut it out, chop it out, skim it out, way out, and transform that big ball. Remember, it's one thought process that God's expanding up, putting like under His microscope or His magnifying glass. He's really getting down tight on that. No person in their own seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell with their own ego can possibly even can contemplate that at all. Can't get down there. Can't change one little dark pixel into a light pixel using their own dark way of thinking, their own shit's thinking. Can't do it. You got to rely on God. Rest and rely. Rest and come into union with God's right-mindedness. Agree. Do an about-face from that dark way of thinking and come back to God's way of thinking. Full bore, in hot pursuit, emphatically for God. And then when you qualify, God chops out that one little thing. There's lots of pressure, lots of fiery trials, purification. God's purifying that old stinking big old ball. See, one thought process out to a humongous ball. Now, I'm going to give you a couple numbers here. Try to paint a picture. I'm trying to do that. That's really like what it is when they say a Planck length, 1 e to the negative 35 meters. That would be like that one grain of sand in a ball, the size with the diameter from the Earth to Alpha Centauri, 4.3 light years. Now, if you reduce that down to one grain of sand, that little grain of sand, 1 millimeter, that is like the Planck size. That would be like the seed of Christ, starting in the center of one thought process. It's in there. It's a still small voice. Very compact. It's the life. It's that living water. All this other, it's like Jacob's well water, or you're good, bad, and ugly, or this, ooh, you poopy thinking, carnality, to be actively hostile against you going to and into your origin God. Back to that primordial Adam where the whole thing and then your whole mind has come back into that oneness with God. Okay? Hopefully I conveyed that well. Now, just a minute. Working on that old cold is getting out of there. All right, now. Now on this scale, it's like God blowing it up, going in your mind, going down to one thought process, blowing it up to this ball, and then showing us this little seed, this grain of sand down in the middle of that, like a plunk this size. That's the seed of Christ down in there, and it's elliptically buried, and it's hopeless to get that thing come out by your black, dark ignorance of God's thinking, your dark matter and dark energy. It tries to hide and conceal. What? Which one working on God? What? God's saying, this one right here, my child. No. And they're trying to divert you, deflect your attention to something else, like dark energy. What are you talking about? You're diverted by every wind of doctrine of your own beast nature. This is a good thing. Right? Fortunately, you can't blow something that's that dense, that weighty, dense character of God in that seed of Christ that God put there. It's there permanently. And God wants to give you an opportunity to chop out, skim out. As God melts it out, as God gives you the opportunity to chop out that wooden humanistic thinking, that old dark matter stuff, to melt off that old dark energy stuff. All this ignorance, this black stuff. Now, if each one of these is a grain of sand, and they're either dark, ignorant of God's love, or it's the light, the pixel, the seed of Christ. That one grain of sand that's like 1 millimeter squared. 1 cubic millimeter. Because it's this little sphere. Tiny. That'd be like the least. You haven't done nothing with it. You haven't germinated it. Haven't done nothing. Now it's either binary. It's either turn and go back into God, a one, or it's a nothing. Keep going to your own crap thinking and decrease. Get black, bury it. Get calloused down. That one sin, though, God won't lose it. He loses none, right? All right? So we're not losing you. All right? Trying not to. Now. All right. Now. The diameter of this sphere that this one thought process is, and you got a myriad, a whole innumerable number of thought processes in your mind. That's right. It's like the universe. Like 93 billion light years. And that's one person, that's the observable universe to you. Because you can't think using someone else's mind. Just like in the natural, they can't see out past a certain, they're saying there ain't enough time for light to travel that far at 186,000 miles per second. It's very, very similar to what God's doing inside of us. He's using that outside stuff to show us. But He's only revealing it, bringing that revelation as He permits. You can only go beyond that rudimentary, elementary principles, that little pixel, that little seed of Christ, as much as God wants you to. He's giving you opportunity. Be reasonable. See it my way. Come up to my superior way of thinking, all right? Now, each grain of sand in there, each little pixel, either dark or light, Start out, you only got one of those light ones in there. It's like 1 millimeter, cubic millimeter, okay? Okay. Depth, height, all that, all the way around from the center, all the way around. Okay. Now, 4.3 light years, okay, is like 40.7 million trillion millimeters, cubic millimeters, grains of sand. In that one, that's just going straight line the diameter of it. 40 and then 0.7 times e to the 18. Move that decimal point 18 times. Or you could say million trillion. Because a million 6 zeros, a trillion is 12 zeros. You just add the 6 plus the 12 and you get 18. It's 18 zeros. So 40 and then 0.7. You can even leave off the 7 if you want. 40 and then 18 zeros after that. But it's really 40.7 with million trillion millimeters. That's the distance across that diameter. Oh my goodness. Now, that's just the diameter of this ball. Like God's blowing your one thought process up to you. He knows you better than you know yourself. Way better. And he knows he put it in there. All of it's just, almost all of it, but that one little grain of seed, that one little grain of sand, the Christ, all of that other is dark ignorance of his love. And he loves you, and that's chav, an incomplete love, a love that's beyond the mere description of words. And he's bringing you back to Racham. As you agree with him, he's chopping out, skimming out, way out, and he's returning you to the ability to love as he first loved you. One little pixel light, that grain of sand, is influencing. Boom, when it's green lighted, it becomes 2. Green light again, it comes 4 of them. Then 8, then 16, 32, 64. Boom, boom, boom. But it's got a long way to get back to that whole thing. That 40 million trillion, 40.7 million trillion grains of sand, just in that across the gap, just the diameter. What about the whole rest of it? We're going to get there. That's not the volume, that's the diameter. God, dog. We'll get there in a minute. Okay, maybe a little bit more in a minute, but I'm going to. Okay. Now the volume of this large sphere, where God's putting it under a magnifying glass and blowing that one little bitty thought process in your universal thought process up to the size of that huge ball from the Earth to Alpha Centauri, about 4.3 light years, or about 40 million trillion grains of sand, or millimeters, across that thing, right? How many grains of sand is there? Of those dark thinking, there's still only one little grain of sand in there that's of God. That God's got to do his relationship builder to 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, because that thing grows brighter and brighter and brighter, more dense in his nature, character, and authority. His glory. Become like a star in there and cause that darkness just to disappear. Just beat it, you old dog. God's taking over, the rightful king. Not this dark thinking. We all start out with this dark thinking is our king of our hearts, of our minds. This is showing down the deepest, all the way down. There's lots of them little bitty grains of sand, black, in your thinking process, right? Oh my goodness, way beyond. Hopefully I'm opening this up so that you can see this. See, hear, taste, touch, or smell, and get that log out, ego out of your eye by greenlighting God and come back to where Christ is in control and this thing is growing. This little light of mine, boom, I'm gonna let it shine, boom, boom. This little light of mine, boom, boom, I'm gonna let it shine, boom, bow. This little light of mine, wow, well, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it take over my mind. Excuse me, just right. The rightful king's got to take rule. He's rule. At the end of this life, all that black stuff in your mind and all this earth suit just falls off. And the spirit goes back to the Father who gave it. And it's not an evil and adulterous generation. They're not going to get on scientific proof. Because they can prove it, and then everybody can just believe it then. I can believe this light highlighters in my hand because it's real. You know, but really, almost all the atoms in there, almost all of that inside those atoms is empty space. That's very similar to two, isn't it? Huh? The seeds in there, a grain of sand in that ball. God knows it way better. That little bitty seed, that grain, that seed of Christ, that seed of faith, that pistis, coming back to the truthfulness of God. This little light of mine. Right? That's God himself. He's coming back in you, returning. He never left you. He's in there all along. You just didn't know it. All right? So, well, I don't see nothing. What, which, who, where, when, what, which one talk about God? They're going to say, God, you, mine. Huh? They don't want nothing to do. That carnal mind is actively hostile. And it's opposed to you going back into, tune into your origin, God. I can remember that in Romans 8:7. Now, break this down here. Now, I done showed you that e to the 18, like a 1 with 18 zeros after it, is a million trillion. A million's got 6 zeros, and a trillion's got 12. 6 plus 12 is 18. That's how you do it. 10 times 10 to the 6th power plus 10, or times 10 to the 12th power. It's just to add the 8 and the 12 and the 6 equals 18 zeros, right? Okay, so I'll say a million trillion, but so that you know it's moving that decimal place 18 spots to the right. This is how much magnification, examination, documaggio that God's proven it to you. His argument, his case, his explanation, and the intensification to get you there. Be reasonable, my child, and see it. It's plain as not plain as all get out to you. Not unless he opens it up to where you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. To him that has an ear to hear, let him hear what God says, the Spirit says, to the churches, to those called out. I'm working on this little part right here. Shall I chop it out? Shall I skim it out? Huh? Yes, sir, Daddy. I agree. Turn from that zero way of thinking. That old yuck, your own, you, myself, and I, that says it's good and bad. That's worthless. Bullshit, right? Ooh, ignorant of God's ways. Turn from that, do 180 degree about face, and live, walk, back into the self-existent one. Because I am the self-existent one. Like in Genesis 15:1, when God told Abram, I am your exceeding great reward. God's the greatest. That's your exceeding great reward. My wife says it's better than chocolate cake, better than a big old steak, better than anything you ever had. Remember that old song? All right. Now, all right. Now this in this grain of sand, this sphere. God's blown it up there to Earth, the Alpha Centauri is the diameter. Now, that little grain of sand is the seed of Christ. All those dark grains of sand, there's actually, we're going to put it 35,300 e to the 18th, or million trillion seeds of Christ. There's grains of sand, or cubic millimeters. 1 millimeter, a cubic millimeter is about the size of 1 grain of sand, right? So 35,300 million trillion grains of sand in that one, that God blows it up. That's how detailed God's looking. God does it. That's just like give you a picture of how detailed, how much his examination is. His forensic science, God's is way above our ways. We can hardly even picture it. To visualize, like in a chess game, you visualize all these moves and stuff and see how soundly you get it, because you might, if you get a couple moves in there and there's all kinds of options, oops, you missed something, and then all of a sudden they do 99 of these things, I got them. Did they do this one thing? Uh-oh, I didn't see that one. You're lost. You're a had lad. Well, that carnal thing, I'm going to get you. Huh? It's a sneaky snake. More subtle than any beast of the field, right? Beast in your mind. Ooh, yuck. Because it's got all this, what is it? Those dark ignorance of God's thinking process. Got 35,300 million trillion grains of sand of darkness. And one little seed, one little grain of sand of Christ, of light, that illuminated light. When God's taking these storms of life, saying, I want to chop out this one right here. I'm working on this one little patch of it, maybe this little bit right here for this next step. It's either 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, whatever level. You won't put more on you than you can handle, but it's going to push you. Huh? Let's get your mind right. Right? All right. Now, God's not just skimming the surface of that thing outside, like the surface area. Our carnal mind, we can't even do that. If you take a ball that's that big, 4.3 light years, and just look at the surface area of that, we're going to put that in cubic millimeters. Just the surface area of that. Huh? Not even look deep. Just look at the surface area. One thought process. That surface area is 5,204.17. This is 5,204 million trillion grains of sand. Cubic millimeters. Just around the outside surface of that thing. You ain't even getting in there to look at the real depths of it. Don't you think that carnal mind's got you bamboozled? Huh? Don't believe that stuff. Let God be the truth. Acknowledge God's the truth, and all that other stuff's bullcrap. It's a liar. Let God be true, and all this mankind thinking, this anthropos stuff, is a liar. Huh? I forget, is that like Romans chapter 3, verse 4? I'm not sure if I remember that right, but I think it says that. Okay? Ew, yuck. Don't believe that liar. It's not the truth. Don't believe that false accusing diabolos. That's that old carnal mind trying to accuse you. You're a bad dude. Or posture of light. Satan. It's not talking about some devil thing outside of you. Kingdom of God does not come. Just outward observation. Remember, I looked at that. I'm showing you. That's speaking about that. Me, myself, and I. Your shits. Thinking. See it, hear, and taste, touch, and smell with the eye and milk. That darkness, it's pointing a big spot. It's showing you. Man, don't trust all them grains of sand that's blacker than the ace of spades or ignorance of God's love. You gotta vomit that stuff out with extreme disgust. Don't eat that shit. Right? Ooh, Like the Apostle Paul's counting it all as done. Man, that thing ain't no good apple or good food right there. That thing on the whole crap. Don't be like the prodigal son down in there trying to get good food and make him strong by eating his own crap. Like an old ostrich. The hand buried down in this dust and sand of his own thinking process. His own bullshit. Huh? Pop that thing out. I can't do it right now. Pop! Suction on it. Pow! The only way you can do that's the green light got. Okay? Now. So. Let's see. I got a note right here. Say 1 grain of sand of the light. That light down in there. The Christ. Is in a ball that's 4.3 light years across, right? That's just, let me find it here. Oh yeah, about 40 million trillion grains of sand across, millimeters across it, just the diameter, right? In diameter, okay? It's harder to find that seed of Christ in there. It's impossible to find that seed of Christ in there than looking for like a needle in a haystack. Man, you talking about a needle in a haystack, 1 little grain of sand of light out of, what is it here? 35,300 million trillion grains of darkness. Not unless God gives you. Opens it up, calls you out. You see this one right here? Don't listen to that old carnal mind saying, what, which one, huh? Huh, what? I don't know what you're talking about, God. You don't even exist. You must be inferior. You're just a figment of my imagination. That's what huh? There ain't no tangible proof there. Then an evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign, tangible proof. But none will be given except sign of Jonah the prophet. This is what I'm doing right here, my child. Do you agree? You want me to chop it out? Skim it out? Way out, huh? Better say, yes, sir, Daddy Gun. I agree. So be it. I sign on that contract. Let's get it. I don't want that yet. Vomit that stuff out completely. In 3 days, 3 ages. Pastor of Pentecost Tabernacle. Saint dust stands stars. Huh? Come right on up. Bing, 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 bing. That's the thing. This little light of mine. Boom, 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 boom. Right? That's in each thought process. Now you start getting a little bit of visualization. Kind of like look at a chess game, look at so many moves deep. Visualize that thing soundly. Omniscient God, the all-knowing God, does not play unsound moves with your mind and his relationship builder. He doesn't put up with no bullshit. Right? And God is light. And in him is no darkness. No bullshit at all. None of this old see, hear, and taste, touch, and smell with the ego. Gotta get rid of that. There's 2 in your earth. This seeing, hear, and taste, touch, and smell with the ego in the way. Your yuck thinking, poop, dung. And God's thinking in there. The rightful king. Bring you back. Come on up, higher, to my superior ways. Right? Just a bit. Gotta spit out some more of that carnality, right? Can't stop. Can't be a baby about it. Oh man, I'm a big baby. I'm gonna quit. Cause my dad had to spit up some of this stuff. Cause God's putting little storms in my life. Can be God. Cause he's just easy peasy. You gotta endure that stuff. Persevere. The sufferings you go through now is nothing compared to this permanent increases in Christ. But you can't get it no other way. God's going to prove it to you. Huh? With his examination. Blow that thing up there to the size of this, from the Earth to Alpha Centauri, and show you all them grains. Little one at a time. Not just try to overwhelm you. Dump this 35,300 million trillion grains of sand on it. Here, man, deal with all this all at once. No. Starts out, took it to zero power, you germinate that seed of Christ, and then it starts growing. And it's going to pressure you, but that's God's not going to put more on you than you can stand. It will test you. Okay, now, so this shit's thinking with your own eye in the middle, that log. It can't even, it's not with any reliability, skin the outside of this sphere in one thought process, right? That's 5,204 million trillion grains of sand just on the outside. And it can't do the inside reliable either. It's going to do none of it. It's useless, hopeless, right? So you got to come back to the seed of Christ, that spark plug, and then script all those other seeds, like an 8. You rely on the 8 plus the 4 plus the 2 plus the 1, and then that seed of Christ to get you to 16. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, right? Read again, Isaiah 55, verse 6 through 9. God knows us way better than we know ourselves. That blackness of our own carnal mind doesn't know crap. It is crap. Crap is crap. Hit like and subscribe.